So I am very excited to be back with our live Zoomcast. So thank you all for being patient and waiting. Today we're going to talk strategic business partnerships. So what we want to cover, and part of the reason why this has come up is that this past year has been extremely challenging, I'm sure for many of you. And we've noticed that we've had to really surround ourselves with a lot of different people to help us get through. So that's kind of how this idea evolved to hit on some of the most significant strategic partnerships that you're going to want to align yourself with as a PT private practice. So that being said, I have an awesome guest panelist list today, and I want to introduce them to you. So from Prompt, we have Mike Dwyer and Adam, oh gosh, I'm going to screw up your name, Baliatico. Did I do it okay? Oh, you're muted. Uh-oh. All right. I must have said it right because we don't have a sound. And then
Okay, it was close.
Kevin Gulbransen from Weave. So thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And of course, I cannot leave out my favorite, Brian Gallagher from Meg Business Management, who is the founder here at Meg. So we're going to chat about what strategic business partnerships you're going to want to establish, as well as what makes sense for a startup versus an existing practice, and really how can those partnerships help increase your bottom line. We have a couple of tremendous resources that we've put together for you, and Matthew is going to put those links up in the chat. And what you'll notice with these is we put together a list of our trusted providers, vendors, solutions. So if you click on the logos, it'll take you to their sites. And really, these are people that have helped our clients that we've been working with for a period of time now. So please take advantage of that. There's one for startups, as well as one for the existing clinic. So click on the appropriate one based on where you're at. So with that being said, I want to kick it off and kind of get started here. And Mike, I'm going to start off with you because when I presented this idea to you, you're like, oh, I love that you're kind of calling this a partnership because with an EMR system, that's really what it is. So how are you at Prompts, how do you kind of treat that partnership when you sign on with a PT practice?
Yeah, we're another extension of their team. I think it's something kind of forgotten when you pick an EMR vendor. You really need to make sure the support is there, and they're not only there to help you use the technology, but also use it effectively and learn how do I grow my business by using this technology. And we call that enablement, where we'll go in, go through someone's data, look at them and say, hey, like this is what happened this month. This is where you need to be next month.
Right.
And we spend an inordinate amount of time doing that because it ends well for us and ends well for the client. Like the best text ever that I get, just signed up, just got 2 more therapists. That is like the best thing.
Growing. Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's a good measure. I can appreciate that. So I think we hear this question a lot when people come to us and say, okay, what EMR system should I go to? Really, what are the main considerations that people should take into account when choosing an appropriate EMR system?
I think the mindset going into it is critical because there's no perfect system. There's no perfect person. It doesn't exist. But what I tell people is evaluate everything going on in your practice, things that are taking too much time, things that you just shouldn't be doing. And also a wish list, like what is my ideal outcome in a system I use? What do I want it to do for me?
Right.
And then based on that, try to check off as many boxes as you can and pick the vendor that does the most.
Right.
For what you need.
I think what I've noticed with a lot of our clients is they sometimes get in that clinician mindset and they get so focused in on the documentation component of it, but there's so much more to it.
That's why I think our perspective is unique because I'm a finance guy, Adam's a finance guy, we have user experience technology guys, like built by therapists for therapists. You kind of ignore the other departments.
Yes.
That are just as critical as your documentation.
Right. And some might even argue more critical, you know.
I do.
You're not being effective at what you're doing and you're not able to kind of analyze the results of what you're doing, it's you know, it almost discredits the other parts of it. So I would 100% agree with that. So how does prompt execute on that particular area? You know, what is your reporting like in your practice management features like?
It's the key being all in one, having every piece of the pie from when the person is created in the system to when their bill is sent.
Oh,
It's not my phone, Nicole. I promise it's not me.
not even that's a
God, I
client.
thought I put
He is
everything on do
taking
not
care of a
disturb.
client. That is, you know, bravo.
So that's on me. But yeah, just having every piece of the pie in one system, you're able to capture that data and not have to spend like 10 hours creating your own reports from 8 different systems potentially. That's been our key.
Yeah. Okay. So how has prompt addressed the biggest pain point for the EMR? What step have you taken to make the system more efficient? Because we always hear it's like it's time consuming and we're trying to, you know, decrease it because you don't get paid for documentation. Nobody wants to spend exorbitant amount of time doing documentation. So what have you guys done to make it easier and more efficient?
Adam and I spent an inordinate amount of time in practices watching people operate, not only from the patient perspective, but just what is the front desk doing? What is the biller doing on a daily basis? And just said, we can do this better. Like we just look as this takes 20 steps. Why can't it take one? And that's been the key to our success is one, just doing a ton of research before we started this. And two, we're always talking to our clients, like some daily, some monthly, like it's a constant stream of feedback back and forth. So we're aware of the holes in the product immediately. We'll correct it faster than anyone.
Yeah.
And inversely, like just understanding the problems and then building it fast.
Right.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I didn't know if that was working. Yeah, that was like where Mike said, like, we're not physical therapists and not physical therapy clinic owners, and that gives us an advantage in that we can think outside the box. But to kind of compensate for that, we spend like a ton of time meeting with both our clients and also just other, you know, general owners and therapists and billers, and kind of listening more to understand what the challenges they face are, to understand the problem they're trying to solve, and then use our kind of outside the box. And, you know, Ed, who runs our user experience team, you know, is great at understanding the problem and coming up with the optimal solution, even if it's something that maybe wasn't the expected solution to the problem.
Yeah, I think one of the things we have like a little inside scoop of how you guys operate, just because I know our billing team, you know, works closely with Prompt because some of our clients have, utilize Prompt. So, you know, I ask them for feedback and they're like, oh, it's great. We can talk directly, you know, communicate directly to the front desk. And if you know Meg Academy, you know, the front desk management system, like all of those things have to be working well and hitting on all cylinders in order for you to get paid in a timely fashion and for, you know, the claims to be processed and you know, mistakes to be minimized. So I can truly appreciate that component of it. That communication piece is integral, I feel like, with the, you know, billing team and the EMR system.
It's your hub. Like,
yeah,
everyone's inundated by emails, texts, like you're in your system all day. Like it needs to be handled from within your platform.
Yeah, I totally agree. And to set it up to make it efficient and work efficiently like that, I think that's huge. That's a great feature. Okay. Well, kind of the next question that I have is in line with that, but how does Prompt facilitate improved communication among divisions? Meaning, you know, the billing division and the front desk, but also how do you that support piece of it? Because I know that's another part that people will ask about is what is the support like? You know, how do you accommodate, you know, any issues that might come up and, you know, handle the support part of things?
Yeah, so that is kind of like a really important thing to us. Probably the most important thing to us. Great software is great, but, you know, if you don't train people and make sure they really know how to use it, and then also answer any questions they run into or any challenges they run into kind of as quickly as possible and as honestly as possible. So we use a live chat support that's built into the system. We didn't like the idea of waiting on hold to get to a rep. So the chat lets them kind of send in their question, their ticket, and then continue to work on prompts, you know, maybe work on something else while they wait for an answer. So that's really important to us, is to provide great customer service, make sure we answer the questions. If we can't answer the questions on chat, then, send over a link to hop on a Zoom and maybe screen share or diagnose any problems or anything like that. And then the other thing we do is, we just started it last month, but what we call prompt advanced training. We do software updates so often that, someone who was fully trained on the software 6 months ago, if they weren't keeping up with the releases, they're going to be missing out on new features. So this advanced training gives kind of every user the opportunity to come into these sessions and learn about new features, kind of see how other clinics are using them, see what other clinics' questions are. And that's been a really effective way to make sure people are kind of maximizing the value of the system and making sure they're using it in the best ways possible.
Yeah. And I know one of the other things that I want to bring up, because Mike and I were actually talking about this before we went live, but the implementation process is I remember when I was managing clinics, even remotely, it was somewhat of a nightmare sometimes. So I feel like what you guys are doing in that implementation process is really smart and forward thinking as well. So if you want to share a little bit about what that looks like too, because I know that might be some of the hesitation if you are in an EMR system that's not working, the logistical part of like abandoning ship and then having to implement somewhere else is sometimes enough to give you pause.
Yep. So the implementation is all about, process driven and focused on doing the right things at the right times leading up to that go live. We never rush. If you called and said, I want to switch to prompt and I want to start tomorrow, we would tell you no. It has to be a multi-week process. It involves training. It involves data transfer, making sure, all your centers are set up with the right tax IDs and NPIs and billing rules and the fee schedules in there right. And your logos moved over, all these little things. And we use a project management software that we add the client to. So they know what they need to do and when, and basically making sure that everything is done before the go live, so that on the day of the go live, your data's there, it's been transferred, all your clinics and providers and everything set up, your schedule moves over and the data transfer, and you can just get going and start working on prompt.
Okay, good. And what would you say, like, in terms of
School teacher.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
She's on a roll, so we gotta
save me, saved by the bell.
gotta break up the 20 questions going on here. So for those of you that are watching from home, you're all wondering, like, when is Adam going to put a flashlight on his computer so you can actually see him and he's not a silhouette? So I just want to like talk about like what other people are thinking about right now. I also think a lot of people think about this, and Nicole, you can chime in on this too. As we look at this EMR, and this whole Zoomcast is about strategic partners, right? And what do you want to look for in a strategic partner? And why do you want to pursue this partner over another partner? I can tell you, we've worked with just about every EMR billing company that's out there that's available to us that's not garbage, because there's some free ones out there that are literally garbage, and we won't even like take you on as a client. We'll say, switch your system. And people go, switching is it's such a mind blow. And I have to tell you guys, for those of you watching, it is not. When you go with a reputable company, they will continue to enable you to continue billing out of what you have and how you're going, so you don't have any interruption in cash flow. They will completely set you up, as these guys said. And Adam, you mentioned you have a project management software. That's worth sharing. What is that software you guys are using?
We use Asana.
What is it?
It's called Asana, ASANA.
Okay, good. So they already have this all worked out. They already have this all figured out. So when it's all done, before you even go live and you literally like stop billing out of the one system, and that doesn't mean it goes away. It should stay. They're going to run, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, they're going to run pilot claims through, right? So they're going to have these claims that you guys should already submit claims. So it went through the clearinghouse, it made it to the insurance company, you got an EOB back before the person like goes live with their full book of business. Am I correct on that?
Kind of. It's like a enrollments process to make sure everything's set up, that it works. And since we've done it with all these payers before,
so you do test
the
it.
setup's correct.
Yeah, you do the test on it. So yeah. I've had other people like they've switched over to EMR systems and they have their go live date, and it's the very first time we're transmitting claims, and I hate that. That is like way too scary, because if something's messed up, now you're in a scramble trying to fix it, right? So I have found that since we started working with you guys, we've never had that issue with that, you guys as an EMR provider. And I wanted to back up to an initial thing that Nicole said, and Nicole's gonna like cut me off here in a second. But in the beginning, and Mike chimed in on it, and I thought he answered it really well. A lot of you owners that are paying attention here, you're trying to pick the right system that's going to be in the best interest of your practice, of your business model. And I can't emphasize that enough. You've got a billing team. You've got practice management. You've got documentation. You've got front desk scheduling. and authorizations, reauthorizations, insurance verification. So if you're sitting here and you're going to swap out your EMR system based on a democracy vote in a staff meeting by your therapists, you're dead in the water, because there is so much more going on. You can't run your business like a democracy. You have to make the decision, have a spine, be a CEO, take the input from your staff, because here's a few little tips that you should walk with. I believe that every single physical therapist should be able to treat all day long, do their notes, give superlative care, and walk out the office within 60 minutes of the last patient.
Or less.
So, or less. If you've done 12 visits in that day and you are finding your therapist cannot see those patients, do the documentation, charge for those services, and walk out that door in 60 minutes or less of the last patient, you may have an EMR problem, or you may have a very slow documenting therapist. That either way, something needs to get fixed. I have not seen that problem with Prompt, and that's why we're so grateful and so appreciative of both of your guys' time to come on this Zoomcast today, because I think owners need to hear that you guys have successfully been able to remedy the fear of switching over, number one, and that you've been able to remedy the fact that your system can serve a higher purpose and score higher goals and higher, numerical values in everything from documentation to scheduling to billing to EOB posting. We have been finding it very, very nice to work in all of those facets. So that was all I wanted to add. I don't want to being an infomercial for these guys, but we do see just about every system out there other than the garbage ones. And I can tell you, we're very impressed.
Okay, Brian's done. We're wrapping up now.
We're done. I'm over.
No, I think you bring up a lot of good points in all seriousness, Brian. And I think one of the things is that I said I love so much about Prompt is that kind of forward thinking mentality. It's, they're on the cutting edge. And I want to kind of shift a little bit over to Weave now and talk with Kevin a bit, because Kevin, your company came on my lines probably at the beginning of the pandemic. And I worked for a guy out in Michigan, and am still friends with him since I've moved away, but he's like, oh, you got to check out Weave. It's great. It's got this functionality. I can't have my front desk person come in. So, it has saved my business in the sense of, it has some functionality where I can take calls directly and I don't need that front desk person there 100% of the time. So I want to say that I think that your phone system has met his standards, and I'm telling you, that is like a tech guy. Every week we would come in, there'd be like some new contraption we'd have to learn. So if you impressed him, you've impressed me. So can you tell us a little bit about Weave and why it makes the traditional phone system, it's different from the traditional phone system, I guess.
Yeah, so Weave is a complete engagement, communications, marketing system for your practice. And at the root of it is our phone system, which is phone system from the hardware through a mobile app that enables you to do pretty much everything remotely. And it's a voice over IP system. So right away, you're eliminating your phone bill. And we have a lot of people who love the Weave Pop feature. So someone calls in, you're instantly able to see a lot of information about them and the important information. So what appointments do they have coming up? What's their patient history? Any notes? Do they have family members who are also patients, and birthdays and things like that? So your staff is able to provide a personalized experience to every person who calls in. And I'm sure, all of you know that first call-in or the call-ins after are so critical to maximizing those contact points. And our focus is helping PT practices partner with their patients to provide that, or partner with us rather, to provide that superior patient experience. And you mentioned the remote capabilities, like the mobile app is really awesome. Yeah. You're able to do pretty much everything like you would from your regular phone system. It goes through just like a business line. That's something that a lot of people have really leveraged during the pandemic, when you're reducing your staff on site and trying to reduce exposure points. We work with a lot of offices who have been able to keep a lot of their staff home or limit their hours in the office. Yeah. One other cool thing I do want to mention that I think separates Weave a little bit is the call analytics that we provide. So you're able to see what percentage of your calls are patients, what percentage are new business opportunities. What times of day are you getting the most calls? So you can adjust your resources, and the system also is scalable. So it grows with you. We have, whether it's one office or you grow to several offices, with the Weave system, you can treat multiple offices like it's a single office.
Yeah, I know one of the features that my old boss used to said he loved especially is that when he was treating and somebody's calling in and they're a new patient, and he'll get that text alert realizing that that's a new person, we don't want to lose them. And we work so hard on our marketing and to try and drive traffic through our doors. So, if you can't capture that, that's going to be a problem. So I especially appreciate that. Okay, let's see. We have a question here. Just to clarify, does Weave pair with Prompt with scheduling and payments? Thanks.
So Weave and Prompt don't integrate just yet. Mike and I and others have had conversations about that. So that's on all of our radar. But Weave pairs with a lot of the most popular PT, EMR, and practice management systems out there. So you're able to actually connect a lot of features from if you're doing your texting and your emailing for confirmations, those can get captured in Weave and instantly connected to your practice management systems and your records.
Okay. And this kind of goes along the same. Which Weave solutions have PT practices found particularly valuable?
So the ones that I hear most about, so you've already mentioned the phone system. So that's number one. We have a lot of practices that purchase Weave just for the phone system, and the other cool features are just, they're cool add-ons. Now, I think the other features are particularly neat. The one that I hear the most about is our missed call text feature. So talking about that first point of contact when someone calls in, which is such a valuable point. You have someone proactively calling you, you want to maximize that contact point. And so if it's after hours or your staff is super busy and you miss that call, we know that 90% of the time people are not going to call back. And that patient or potential patient is going to call another office. So we have our missed call text feature where it will automatically send them a text. You can automate it to do a few different things. And so you can capture that contact point. Even if they leave a voicemail, you can work our missed call or our text capability into that. And that's probably the number one thing outside of just the pure phone system that I hear about, where people are able to make sure that they never miss a contact point. If it's after hours and someone is trying to schedule an appointment, the missed call text can be used for that. Another tool is more on the marketing side that I hear a lot about is our review feature. So your presence in Google, in Facebook goes a long way. What is it? It's like 80+%, 83% of people I think will look at online reviews, and more than 70% of people will trust those just like they would trust a referral from somebody. So having a positive presence there is huge, especially in a competitive PT landscape. And so with Weave's review system, it can actually send automated text messages to patients. You can tell which patients to send it to prompt them to give reviews. And again, those will go on Google and Facebook, and you can even manage all of your reviews and get insight into that from our system. And then the last piece is the mobile app, kind of like we talked about, where people are able to work remote, or if a doctor is out of the office, needs to speak to somebody, the doctor can see all of their relevant information right from your mobile device. Like the functionality between the primary system or the primary application and the mobile application is really seamless and super similar. So you hardly skip a beat between whether you're actually in the office or you're not, which again has been something that's been huge with COVID.
I have a question on the reviews. So are you using like an NPS score in order to streamline the reviews, people to the reviews? How does that work?
Yeah, so we don't necessarily use an NPS score, but what we do is, so you'll find, we leave it up to the staff to decide. So there's two ways that most staffs approach it, is either as somebody's walking out of the office, they'll say, hey, I'm going to send you this text really quick. Just click the link, we'd love for you to give us a review. Usually they do that with people they know have had good experiences, or a lot of offices will do that, but they'll just have it automated that 30 minutes after an appointment is over, it automatically sends them a text to submit a review. So We do leave it up to the staff. I think that's actually a really interesting idea to base it on the scores. Yeah, I'm gonna bring that back to my team. But yeah,
he's like note to self.
Yeah, go tell my team it was my idea.
Yeah, right. That's okay. No, that's good. The other feature I wanted to ask about, because, we do a lot of training at Meg, and the front desk is a huge part of the training, how they handle phone calls and things of that nature. What about call monitoring? Do you have those features where you can record, conversations so that for training purposes, you can, work on, whatever area needs to be worked on?
Yep, absolutely. So call recording is part of it. And actually, speaking of the front desk, so I probably hear more from the office staff than I do from the doctors and other folks who are using it. The office staff just typically rave about the software. They love being able to even after hours and looking at the schedule the next day, from the mobile app, or just all the tools and the things that make it easier for them, because that's really how we try to approach this, is a system that helps alleviate a lot of the tasks that you have to do that are slowing practices down from focusing on the patient experience. So staffs love the automation tools, from everything that has to do with scheduling all the way through payment collection, and like we've talked about, even the reviews and
Sure.
marketing to them beyond that.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's all like packaged within like that HIPAA compliant, safe environment, which is the other key piece that we have to.
Yes, HIPAA compliance is a big focus for us, and yes, our system is HIPAA compliant.
Okay, very good. All right, excellent. Brian, do you have any other questions for?
I was just about to raise my hand. You like totally know me. So I'm just gonna again try to take the viewpoint of a PT owner who's watching here. One of the things that I think is really important moving forward in time, and I hate to put you on the spot, Kevin, so hopefully you've got like the right answer on this. Can a patient actually schedule from home into someone's system? Can they actually use your system to put themselves in the schedule?
So they can't put themselves, well, they can and they can't. So it's a little bit, let me walk you through the process. So the cool thing with our system is that somebody can actually, request an appointment, or you have a list of folks who are trying to get in. In fact, this is
like a waiting
tool
list.
That's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So this is a tool that's been used a lot during COVID, right? Because we've seen cancellations go up. And so we can actually set up a waiting list of people that are trying to get in. And if you have someone drop off your schedule, you can send out a text to have a text automatically sent out to a number of patients who are trying to get in. They just respond to that text, and boom, they're in on the schedule. So there are a number of scheduling tools that do allow somebody to, or allow the staff in particular, to help them streamline the scheduling process, from automation on reminders and sending out messages to help to find places. But we don't have a portal necessarily where someone can go in and pick their own slot.
No, and that's a stretch for me to ask that of you. But kicking it back to Mike and Adam, I know, like with the millennial generation, every millennial's walking around with a cell phone, but heaven forbid they call anybody. I mean, they're not going to use it as a phone per se. So because they're not doing that, they all like people who like to get practice assessments done and sit and talk to Nicole and I and have us diagnose what's going on in their business. Well, literally, they go to our website. They can literally go to the Meg Academy tab and click, practice assessment, and the calendar opens up and they can literally put themselves in our calendar at the day and time that works for them without having to talk, heaven forbid, to another human being. And they are with us on that day and time. And of course, Jen will call them and just qual check them and make sure that they're, not a robot. And they get in with us and we talk. But that's, this is like the heart of how I like to get my owners to be so successful, is the more you're at cause over the actions and steps that you do in life, the more successful you'll be, versus more of the effect. So in this case, the person can be from the comfort of their own home and be totally at cause and schedule their own day and time and do a practice assessment with us. Can they just reach in for your clients that are using Prompt? And can someone just like literally go to the therapy ABC PT, go to their website and say, hey, schedule your first appointment? And can they literally schedule themselves in Prompt?
Yeah. So that was actually one of the first calls. Am I on mutes? No,
you're good. You're good.
Perfect. Yeah, one of the first calls I made was to Better PT, because I go to the gym, I can book my class. I go to DoorDash, I can book my food. And The key though to it, it's going to show the availability, but it's not going to automatically go into the schedule, because as a front desk, as a admin member, you still want to have control of that schedule.
Absolutely.
We'll surface the time, and then once you hit approve, it will send confirmation to the
confirmation back to them.
Like
But
that.
as a home person, and there's only 5 people in Wisconsin, so this is not a problem where Nicole lives. But in the rest of the country, where there's like literally a ton of people, they want to get what they want to get when they want to get it. And the fact is, I get to literally go on the site and kind of do that. Nicole.
No, I don't. There's more than 5, 7 or 8 at least. But also,
Well, not where you live.
love that, because there are some special clients that don't necessarily, that might require one-on-one or a little bit more time or a little less, so we
Right.
want to have some control.
It's also the other key is that it's a real-time feed from their prompt schedule. So the patient doesn't see 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. as the available booking times every day. If my therapist is only available from 10 to 11 tomorrow because the rest of their calendar is full, then the patient only sees 10 to 11, because that's frustrating as a patient. When you go request an appointment at 9 a.m. and they call you back and they say, well, actually, we only have 5 p.m. open.
Yeah.
So that's like super strong. So over 95% of the requested appointments get confirmed through that integration. And the ones that don't, it's generally because they don't take that insurance, or they need to get an off and they can't get the off in time.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, good.
All right, well, that's good. And Kevin and Mike, I'm sorry, I put you guys on the spot, but I think that's why these Zoomcasts are so good, is if we really think about like, what are people really struggling with, right? And what Nicole was really highlighting, and I love her questions, speed of particle flow. And that another word for that is communication.
It's also, Brian, though, like what you said, like, I'm going to put myself in the owner's shoes. Put yourself daily in the end user, which is your patient shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Updates and changes. Exactly. That's one of the beautiful things about like running Meg Billing Solutions, because we're in 7 or 8 or whatever number of different EMR systems. We can see the best of the best and the worst of the worst, right? And we're like, oh, pick and choose. Like, what can we do? And so this really is why outsourcing really helps, because you're getting that high level of expertise because of that experience. And that's why outsourcing to, that's why you guys were invited here, Kevin at Weave and Mike and Adam over here at Prompt, is because you guys are at the top of your game in the area of specialty that you're in. Yeah, I had a startup owner on the phone with me from California yesterday, and he was saying, I said to him, he's running this very successful clinic. He has 3x'd this clinic for some other employer who's god awful, according to him. And that's everything he told me. But based on what he told me, I was like, ooh, I wouldn't do that. Ooh, I wouldn't do that. So anyways, he's ready to go out on his own. He's been listening to the podcast for over a year. He's like, okay, I'm demanding change. I'm ready for change. I'm like, okay, when you get to that point in your life, you really have to make a change. But I said this to him, and I'll say this to all the listeners and everyone here. Have you ever said to yourself, I wish there was more time in the day. I wish there was more hours in the day. I wish there was more sunlight time. I wish I just had more time. The only reason why you would say that to yourself is because you're disorganized. Because organization actually creates time. More organization, more time. And so I was saying to him, I said, there's only 3 things you should be focusing on as a CEO of a PT private practice. How do I get my good deeds well known out to the raw public so that I can help more people? And this is where Weave comes in, right? Better able to reach out to the public, better able to communicate to the public, save you time, energy, and effort communicating to that public and increasing that line of communication. Same thing with the innovative things that you guys put in the prompt. So as a PT owner, I should be not concerned about the toilet paper roll being out in the bathroom and I have to change it, or that I have to change the LED light, or that I have to, worry about touching up the paint in room 3 because the table's been scraping against it for the last, 6 years. Nonsense. Outsource your bookkeeping, outsource your billing, outsource, because you should be focused on what do I need to do and say that's going to make our clinic the zebra in this cattle herd of horses for people to want to come and seek our services. And then number 2 and 3, what do I need to do to bring about a better over-the-top experience for both my staff and my patients, my active patients? And that's where organization comes in. That's what I was saying. With good organization comes time efficiency. And the way you get good organization is connecting to a Weave, connecting to a Prompt, connecting to like Meg Academy, so you can better educate and properly manage your staff, because you are going to literally make time. But you're going to make time through using technology, organization, and innovation, not doing. many owners are reaching out to us now, and they're like, you know what, now that I've had time at home, now that I've had time to enjoy my kids, Nicole's got like 13 kids, lives on a farm in Wisconsin, and she literally knows since COVID exactly how that is. Nobody wants to go back to that rat race and running on that hamster wheel of where we were before, surging up. We were sacrificing our own happiness in life. And so that's the whole reason for the Zoomcast. Which business associate partners? Why should you strategically try to put yourself connected to people? Why? Because it's going to buy you time. And that was my big message. I think that's the overview of this whole Zoomcast, and why I loved what Nicole put together.
Yeah. And also it's about staying in your lane and doing what you're good at. Mike, we were talking before this, it's like, okay, PT software made by PTs. No, we're not. We're not in that industry. We're good at being a clinician. And same thing with when you go into PT private practice, there's a big gap, when we graduate to when you become a PT owner, there's a big gap there. And that is really what Meg has tried to fill, is that gap. It's to provide the training to get you groomed at being a good CEO, a good leader, a good manager. And, Brian, you can speak a little bit more to, how that works. And we very excited. I know a lot of you are our clients, but we just launched Meg 4.0. And that has been an awesome endeavor. So, we've really mapped out everything from the startup process all the way through, working with clients who have been in business for 20 plus years.
Yeah. What's really great is Meg 4.0 is released. All upgrades in our system are free. So all clients get those upgrades for free. You don't pay anything extra for that. But what's really great is I actually at this point, I have a birthday in 2 days, and I'm turning 53. And I get to look back at this and I say to myself, man, I remember when I started my business at 28. I remember putting my head in my hands and I said to myself, I would pay anybody anything if they would just come show me what I need to know, what I need to do. Because I only have one head, I can only think with so much stuff. I can't possibly be the expert in everything there is to know in running a successful private practice. I knew that much at 28, right? And then I ran it up, and as you guys all know, spent $100,000 in getting management training, and flew all over the country forever, and then sold my business at 38. And then did it all over again. But at this stage of the game, I feel like I have more experience, and I have been better educated to know, much like when I was playing competitive soccer in Europe, it's the team that you assemble that's going to allow you to be most successful. And that's why I so much love the fact we're kicking off 2021 with this strategic business associate arrangements, strategic business partnerships, because for those of you listening, if you could just believe and trust in what we're saying, because believe me, we're 100% transparent. You want to know anything, I'll tell you. If you believe that, then you're going to know you need an LMS system inside your business. You need an onboarding protocol for every position in your company. You need professional enhancement so that each and every member of your team is in their lane, but they're operating in the top 10% of what a front desk coordinator should operate, or an office manager. And then you look at the things that you need to get off your books and you need to be connected to, like Weave to help you with that communication system. Mark said, like Prompt to have you have I loved it when I first met Mike. I said, all right, Mike, so I see every single EMR system. I've been hearing some buzz on yours. I'd like to hear what you have to say. He opened up with me like this. He goes, well, he doesn't even know what I'm going to say. He says, well, all I can say is our platform starts off as the Ferrari of EMR systems. That will never come, it's like you can never unhear that, right? Like I can't unlook that, because I die, because all the big boys in town, who they are. We don't have to name their names, and I love them. I love all the people associated with them. They're not bad folks, but you can only put so many additions onto the main the main foundation of the house before that summer cottage looks totally discombobulated, because you got way too many freaking additions on it. And that's why I get people that are using these big boy players, and they're sponsored everywhere and stuff, and I love them, but it's time to scrap your freaking house, knock the house down and build a new summer place, build a Nicole home, make it a 6,400 square foot house with 15 bathrooms, do it right from the start. But, Mike started off like, our platform, the platform is the Ferrari. This is where we're starting from. And he caught it's like, you had me at Ferrari, right? And I was like, so into that. And now that we're working together, we could have easily said, oh, he was all smoke and mirrors, and then we canceled the agreement and said, like, he as a friend, but can't work with you, because we would do that if the whole thing sucked. But it doesn't, and it does work well. So I guess that's just what I'm saying to answer your question, Nicole, is at 53, not 28, having run businesses up and sold them twice and acquired and helped so many other folks, I now realize how important it is to connect yourself to experts in the field around you, like outsourcing your bookkeeping, outsourcing your billing, getting a good EMR system, getting good communication system. So you can focus on those three major important things that I said before, and I'll just end there. Focus your attention on how can I get my good deeds well known, my message out there, my brand, my personal integrity, my reputation, my mission into the community that the community is supporting by telling everybody to come back to my business. Because you should literally have, here's a key statistic for you, write this down. You should have 60% of your new patients every single month coming in from return business. A patient who's been here before, a friend, family member, or coworker of a patient who's been here before. So if you have focus on that, and then you have focus on internally, how can you give an over the top, overwhelmingly positive patient care experience, and do the same for your staff? Do the same for your staff. 15 minutes before this call, one of our clients called in and says, Brian, how do I get better company culture? How do I engage my staff better? I said, well, I want you to get out a calendar. There's a holiday in every single month. You should have a holiday game for the patients, the staff, and a game combining the two every single month. It's not that hard. And she's like, oh, could you give me some examples? And man, I sat on the phone for 20 minutes just rattling off like games and prizes. But if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But everybody should do that.
This clinic had cornhole, and
yes.
And they, every like new patient graduation, they'd have it, shoot for a shirt or something.
Love it.
The whole entire place. I was watching. I was there that day.
I love
Everyone's into it. Everyone's having fun.
And in the fall, what we did once a year in the fall, we would rope off our parking lot on a Sunday, and we would have fall festival day, and we would book people to come in and do the pony rides and the petting area with all the bunnies and stuff like that, and a little mini train we had going on. We brought in hay and all that stuff. Man, we'd have hundreds of people bringing their kids, and as the years went on, it just got bigger and bigger. It's a Sunday. It's a fun thing. You bring your family, you're reaching out to the community. It used to cost us like $2,000-$3,000, for, with Nicole's deep pockets, we just borrowed from her. It was never a problem.
What I think Brian's trying to say is the company culture starts with you as the owner. So, you can establish that. So, yeah.
Well, obviously you could tell my energy and my enthusiasm never dies. And I think if you carry that into your business, people will feel that. And then they feel like, you're just not full of it. You really love what you do. And people want to be around other people who really love what they do. They want to be around people who are creating, not destroying. And one last psychological thing, 2020 has put such suppression on all of us. Okay. And the natural inclination, when you feel suppressed, you feel pressure from above that you can't do anything about it. The natural thing is to go into survival mode. And once you go into survival mode, then you're just becoming a minimalist. And I can tell you, you can't grow your business, thrive, succeed ever in business if you're operating from a viewpoint of scarcity. So as we enter 2021, my advice to everybody is you got to snap out of it, and you got to stop thinking on scarcity. Like, I don't know what's going to, forget that. You have to outcreate what happened in 2020 in 2021. And you have to think in abundance. What does it take to exchange in abundance with your patients, with your staff? Because it'll then exchange in abundance back with you. But if you keep thinking this survival mode, this scarcity mode, which I understand where we were in the Northeast, but we're not there now. And you got to think ahead. You got to be willing to invest in yourself.
And I think what we encourage is align yourself with people who are constantly evolving. I know Brian came up with this idea of anticipate, analyze, and adapt. If you can kind of look ahead and have a pulse on what's coming down the pipe, be able to analyze what you're doing right now by looking at your statistics and your metrics, and then adapt and change based on, what the current environment or the current climate is, then you're going to be ahead of the game. And that's why, we have Prompt on here and we have Weave on here. They're so, forward thinking and just outside the box. And it's not a phone system like that you would typically think of. And it's, it's not an EMR system that you would typically think of, but you don't want to be that. I mean, even Meg has evolved. I mean, you used to fly all over the country. I mean, when I first met Brian, that's 8 years ago now, you came and delivered to us in Michigan, and, it was great. We got a lot of information, but we have made a better widget. We have made a better delivery. We've made it more accessible. We've made it more readily available. We've made it more comprehensive and more specific. and we've integrated this like functionality part of it. So, you know.
Well, Nicole, you got to take credit for that, because you took what was an outward facing thing. Like I would go out and train, and I'd go back week after week and train. And you turned it into something that they actually have in their hands. Like they actually own it now. They actually own the file vault. They own the materials. And now from there, they can cultivate it and create it and develop it. If you have vision and you can see, then you can set goals. If you can set goals, then you can set targets. If you can set targets, you can set action plans. And so there you're done. You're done. You totally know where you are. You totally have vision where you want to go. You set goals, targets, action plans. You're done. It is not that hard to succeed in life to where you want to go. You just have to be willing to invest in yourself and believe in yourself and not have any counter intention connected to it. That's where we come in. That's why we're coaches. Like we never disconnect with you. But I could go on all day about that. The whole point of this was to try and get you to give up that scarcity mentality, get into the abundance mentality, see that you got to stay in your lane. I've repeated that 3 major things: getting new business, helping new patients, helping the patients you have, helping the staff you have, and then aligning yourself with professionals like these guys who are going to do the heavy lifting in the areas that you just don't have the expertise in. But you got to go into it eyes wide open. And it is not the only reason why you fear or hesitate. The only reason why people fear or hesitate and they won't move forward and they won't move back, they'll pause, is because it's the unknown. It's what you don't know that keeps you from moving forward in life. So if it's what you don't know, then connect to the people that are going to open up your eyes to the things that you need to know so you can ask the right questions and feel confident with your decisions.
Okay. I think that's a very good point. And what I'd like to do, I know we're coming up on time here, so I'd like to go through and just have everyone give like one final closing thought, piece of advice, tip, trick, whatever you got. So Kevin, why don't we start with you on closing thoughts?
Yeah. So speaking of partnering, like I've talked about, we really views ourselves as a partnership to PT practices in helping them engage better with their patients and prospective patients. And I think the latest number I saw was that only 30% of PT patients are completing their full course of care. And a lot of practices believe they could help that number go up a lot if they could contact people better, if they could increase their touch points, if they could make that easier for their staff to have those contact points. And that's really what we focus is helping you improve your interactions at every level, from acquiring somebody to having your first phone call, to them seeing your review, to having them make a payment, to helping them come back, helping even asking for referrals. All of those different pieces is where we really tries to be your partner in helping you maximize all your interactions and provide that top level patient experience that makes you stand out from the other physical therapy practices.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. Mike.
Yeah, I think the most helpful thing I can leave everyone with is I would spend at least half a day quarterly, every department across your practice, and just spot, why is this happening this way? Can this be done better? I think it'll be really eye-opening if you go through that practice.
Okay, Adam, do you have anything?
And then kind of building off what Kevin was saying, like we really view every new clinic we bring on board as a partner. And every time, everything we do at Prompt is to help you operate your business that you work so hard to run and create more efficiently, and take things that are manual processes and try and create those into automated, streamlined processes, and give you access to all of your data in ways that it's easy to understand and make business decisions that can help you kind of operate in that abundance mentality, because you do understand your data and you understand it, and you don't have to spend time creating spreadsheets. Everything is just pulling all in from one system to kind of increase efficiency and increase that level of data so that you can grow your clinic and your business.
Yeah, very, very good. Brian.
No, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I rattled on enough. I guess in short, I would say, please do some soul searching. You can see my main message on this week's Zoomcast, or this month's Zoomcast, is all about you, because the mechanics are the mechanics, the logistics are the logistics, and we're connecting to you. We're connecting you listeners to great public here. We would not be friends and connected with any individuals that we didn't feel was operating in the best interest of you, right? It's all about you. I was just showing somebody how to actually purchase Meg Academy using a credit card, because he was going to send me a check. I said, don't send a check. I said, use a credit card, man. You're going to get like Southwest points. He's like, yeah, but dude, you're going to like pay a 3% hit. I said, this isn't about us. This is about you. If I'm giving you advice that benefits me, then why would you listen to me? And he's like, yeah, that's right. So I said, if I'm giving you advice that's benefiting me, then you're listening to the wrong person. I got to give you advice that benefits you. So he ended up getting his credit card out and buying Mega Academy yesterday with that. But here's my short. I ask everybody, even the guys here, I ask you to look in the mirror today when you get home and ask yourself, where are you in life today? Where are you right now? What are you doing? How's it operating? Is it the exact way you want it to be? And if I took a snapshot of you today, like a snapshot of you today, and I take a snapshot of you 5 years from now, ask yourself what actually is going to change. And it's not going to change because of a magic wand. There's no fairies running around. It's only going to change if you're going to change it. So what are you actively doing today to make the change in your life to meet that vision of yourself that you have for yourself? Is that to have, like Nicole, like the 13-acre farm with the 6,400 square foot house and 13 bedrooms and bathrooms? If that's it with the 13, if that's it, then what are you actively doing today to create that home environment or that successful model for yourself in business? Because if you're not actively working on that, you're literally inside a prison cell with your wax and towel, and you're polishing the inside of the bars, saying to yourself and making yourself feel comfortable, like, but I got a good salary and I have a good benefit package and I'm putting 10% away in my 401k. And I'm like, look, if you're totally geeked out on that, and that's all good for you, then by all means, don't change a thing. But if you look at yourself and you know you have more professional potential, more personal potential for more, then stop. Like literally stop doing that. Jump out and do what the other 90% is not willing to do and change your life and live the life you want. I'm happy to support you if you are loving that 401k, that benefit package, and that staff salary. I'm all for you. My college roommate's still doing the same job he did 28 years ago when he got out of school. Same place of employment, never changed. And as long as he's happy as a lark, I'm all in his corner. But you definitely owe it to yourself to be happy. And to be happy means you got to take action. And so that's my parting message. Take action. 2021, forest fires happened. After every forest fire, the soil is most fertile. It's now. Forest fire was 2020. The soil is fertile today. Make the actions today.
And all of us, I would imagine, are here to help support you in that endeavor. You're not alone.
Right.
Like, I think that's the biggest thing. And please do take advantage of that list. I do want to bring that up again, Matthew, if we can kind of post that up there. We have put together a very comprehensive list of anybody that you might need to support if you're a startup or to support if you are already an existing clinic. So we really endorse all the people on this list and stand by the work that they do, and a lot of them will offer discounts too, so I do want to make note of that. I won't get specific on the discounts, but please reach out to Kevin and Mike. They've been generous enough to agree to some discounts as well, so please take advantage of that.
Drop Nicole's name. It really has weight with all our vendors. Trust me, it's Nicole's name you want to put out there. That's what's going to benefit you the most.
Drop the call that way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, everyone, take care. And thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next month.
Everybody, have a good 2021.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.